sun goes down. The sun goes down. The sun goes down. The sun goes down. The sun goes down.
Dark matter deception. Hopefully everyone's ready. It's going to be a good one. We're going to start off with a little bit of a diagram. Hopefully you guys have seen this. You know what that is? That's what they say the universe is made of. Pretty much 4% is what they can see. Everything else is just made up baloney. We're going to get into it. You're going to love what you see and you hear. This is a whole new crazy coming up right after this. That's right. We've got Daily Mail coming up for you today. Does dark matter actually exist? Astronomers claim that the mysteries of the universe can be explained by tweaking the laws of gravity. All right? This gets crazy. Scientists have actively been searching for dark matter for nearly a century. Unfortunately, this is yet to yield any definitive results or quantitative proof. So let me get this straight. You've been teaching this as fact and as scientific proof to children in textbooks for how long? And yet we're going to find out real quick here that pretty much they're saying that, yeah, no, I don't think we're going to find any of this dark matter. So we're going to have to start tweaking the physical laws of gravity. Dark matter is a hypothetical substance that's long captivated scientists. For several decades, experts have believed that the invisible phenomenon makes up 20% of the universe. However, searches continue to lack results, and now traditional theories are being challenged with increasing vigor. Scientists believe that better understanding the laws of gravity and tweaking them may mean we don't need to find dark matter at all. All right, so let's get into this article. Scientists have been searching for dark matter, an unknown and invisible substance. All right. The reason for this persistence of that dark matter is needed to account for the fact that galaxies don't seem to obey the fundamental laws of physics. All right. So physics is getting thrown out the window here. So maybe you need to come back to the drawing board. However, dark matter searches have remained unsuccessful, but there are other approaches to make sense of why galaxies behave so strangely. Our new study, published in the Journal of Cosmology and Astroparticle Physics, shows that by tweaking the laws of gravity on the enormous scales of galaxies, we may not actually need dark matter at all. The Swiss astronomer Fritz Zwicky discovered in 1930s that the velocities in galaxy clusters were too high to account for how much matter we could see. A similar phenomenon was described by several groups of astronomers, such as Vera Rubin, Kent Ford, and they studied the motions of stars in the far edges of the Andromeda galaxy. The velocities of the stars far from the center were expected to decrease as they experienced less gravitational force. That's because, according to Newton's second law of motion, the gravitational pull on orbiting matter can be equated to a product of its mass and acceleration. Blah, 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 right? However, the measurements showed that there was no such decrease in velocities with distance. That led scientists to believe there must be some invisible matter there to create a strong gravitational pull and faster stellar motion. In the past decades, countless other probes of gravitating systems at very large length scales indicated the same problem. All right, beyond dark matter, the mystery of what dark matter actually is remains the ultimate challenge of modern fundamental physics. The core question is whether it is indeed a missing mass source, such as a new type of matter, or whether the gravitational law is simply different at gigantic length scales. Okay, this is where it gets crazy. Hopefully you're buckled up and ready for this. Well, the first option seems very tempting. We haven't actually found any dark matter yet. All right, there's all these books, all these textbooks. They continually talk about dark matter and dark energy and, all this stuff. And now they're saying, this is what they've been saying for a long time. We haven't found any of it yet. So now they're going to come up with some new stuff saying we got to twist modern day physics and play around with gravity. That's always their magic word, gravity. Gravity is pretty much the god of scientism. Also, while gravity laws are well tested within the solar system, well tested, one has to be careful extrapolating the scales in which the least 1 billion times larger. Okay, one well-known attempt is to get rid of the need for dark matter is modified Newtonian dynamics, which suggests that Newtonian's law of gravity becomes irregular when the gravitational pull is very weak, as is the case at the outer regions of the galaxies. But this theory, although successful in many respects, hasn't passed the same stringent tests as our standard model of cosmology, which includes dark matter. All right? So they're saying that that is a good one, the one with dark matter, but yet they've not found dark matter. Did anyone see a problem with this? All right. The main problem is that MOND cannot explain the missing mass problem in galaxies and galaxy clusters at the same time. Another very strong argument against MOND is based on the observation of colliding galaxy clusters where the stars of each galaxy pass through each other, but the gas clouds stick together and stay behind. A famous example of the Bullet cluster, which consists of two such colliding clusters, observations suggest that dark matter follows the stars in these events, which have a lower total mass than the gas cloud. All right, so there's a nice diagram for you. Just look at this diagram. And these are talking, if you start looking in light years, remember what a light year is. Remember what a light year is. 1 light year is 7 trillion miles. That's T, trillion with a T. All right, just let that sink in. Look at that image and just let that sink in. $10,000, $20,000, $30,000, $40,000 light years. Anyone got a calculator? 1 light year is 7 trillion miles. Oh, but we're going to get into space bubbles. And not the space bubbles you think, because of course they're not going to admit to that. They're going to admit to other space bubbles. More nonsense. We set out to tweak the laws of gravity in a different way. Our approach assumed that the phenomenon known as the Vestian screening is at work. This suggests that each sufficient dense, compact object in space generates an invisible sphere around it. They love their spheres. which determine how the laws of physics behave with growing distance. This sphere is a theoretical concept to help us understand the differences between small and big scales rather than the actual physical membrane. All right, so here we go. Keyword, theoretical, right? We're all talking about theoretical science and theoretical this and theoretical that. It just continually goes on and on and on, and yet they teach this as fact and deceive people with their nonsense. According to our theory, within this bubble, the law of ordinary Newtonian gravity, that's when we see in the solar system, hold for objects interacting with the massive body at the center. Outside the bubble, the theory suggests that the gravitational pull by the central object can be significantly enhanced, even though there is not more mass present. The bubble size would be proportional to the mass of the central object. If, for example, in a galaxy, the sphere had a radius of a few thousand light years, a typical distance at which signs of dark matter is observed. Okay. Did you just hear that? A typical distance at which signs of dark matter is observed. When have they ever observed dark matter? They've never found it. And yet they say they observe it, just a mere few thousand light years away. Do you see how ridiculous this is? Over and over and over. This is exactly what people say. And they say that we're crazy for questioning this nonsense. Unbelievable. Again, we'll get into this, right? But it's a few thousand light years, a typical distance. They're saying based on the dark matter. So what's going on here? Like, seriously, the sun will have a radius of 50,000 astronomical units. Okay, one such unit is the distance between the sun and the earth. One of those units, and they're saying it's 50,000. Again, this is the numbers they use when it comes to cosmology. Just like when they talk about evolution, they talk millions and millions of years. And when it gets into the universe, it's trillions and trillions of miles. This is exactly what it is. They're just hiding all of their garbage inside these massive numbers, so you don't even have a clue what's going on. But let's go through what dark matter is, shall we? Dark matter is a hypothetical substance said to make up 27% of the universe. The enigmatic material is invisible because it does not reflect light and has never been directly observed by scientists. What's the key method when it comes to the scientific method? Observing, repeating, testing, all this stuff. It's never been observed. And yet, look at this, dark matter. Astronomers know it to be out there because of its gravitational effects on known matter. Oh, the astronomers know it's out there, just no one's ever found it. And they're starting to say that, no, we don't need it anymore. You're going to hear this in just a few minutes. The European Space Agency says, shine a torch in a completely dark room and you will see it you only see what the torch illuminates. That does not mean the room around you does not exist. Similarly, we know dark matter exists, but have never observed it directly. All right, so they're going through dark room illustration here. However, the edge of the solar system is only 50 astronomical units away. In other words, there are no objects we could observe from far from the sun to test whether the sun has a different gravitational pull on them than it has on Earth. Only observation of entire systems very far away allow us to do that. The surprising effect of the size of the Newtonian bubble grows with the enclosed mass in a particular way. This means that the law of gravity changes at different scales, at different length scales in galaxies and clusters of galaxies respectively, and therefore it can explain the apparent dark matter in both systems simultaneously. That's not possible with MOND. Furthermore, it is consistent with the observation of the bullet cluster. That's because gas clouds left behind in the collision, again, Big Bang, are not compact enough to generate a sphere around them, meaning that the apparent dark matter is only notable around the more compact stars. MOND doesn't distinguish between stars and gas clouds. To our big surprise, our theory allowed us to explain the stellar velocities in galaxies a lot better than with Einstein's general relativity, which allows for dark matter to exist. So there might actually be less mysterious dark matter out there than we think, and maybe none at all. All right, this is from like a science article, and they're pretty much admitting, you know what, it might not even exist at all. And yet this is all we've been hearing for the last, 10, 15, 20 years? Dark matter, dark energy, it's out there, we know it's there. Now they're saying it probably doesn't even exist at all. This is why it's good to question these guys continually. We plan to further investigate this interesting phenomenon. It could also be responsible for the high variation of galactic motion, for which we gather more and more evidence. Any massive body warps the space and time around it according to general relativity. Again, the theory of relativity, the theory of gravity, the theory of evolution. It's like this entire article theory. We've never seen it. We've never really done anything under the scientific method, but we know it's there. And oh no, maybe it's not there, and it's probably not at all. We don't know what we're talking about. An extremely interesting test of our findings would be the observations of precise gravitational light deflected by individual galaxies. Oh, the galaxies they're seeing with their magical telescopes, right? Anyone is not familiar with Michio Kaku, I wanted to pull up this video because I'm sure many people have seen it, but let's just go through what Michio Kaku says about cosmology and about the universe, because I think it's important.
There is a crisis in cosmology. Usually in science, if we're off by a factor of 2 or a factor of 10, we call that horrible. We say something's wrong with the theory. We're off by a factor of 10. However, in cosmology, we're off by a factor of 10 to the 120. That is 1 with 120 zeros after it. This is the largest mismatch between theory and experiment in the history of science.
There you go. The largest mismatch between theory and science. And he basically says that they're off, so far off when it comes to this. Keep questioning, keep pulling stuff like this up. When people start talking to you, bring up dark matter, bring up articles like this that they're pretty much
If you're a
admitting.
YouTuber, you're probably using this.
Look at this.
And this. So you should start using this.
Off.
Get Artlist
Not sure where that was coming from, but anyways, we've got an ad. Oh, it's probably on YouTube. There we go. I didn't know where the sound was coming from, but anyways, there we go. So anyways, just a quick video on dark matter deception. This is exactly how they're trying to make everything work. It's not working whatsoever. I'm not sure what you guys think, if you guys have looked into this much, but again, an article like this is just nonsense. It just goes over, around in circles, up and down, theoretical, crazy distances like 40,000 light years. I mean, 1 light year is 7 trillion miles. And then they're saying they're seeing galaxies and they're seeing all this stuff. Give me a break. I mean, what kind of telescope, what kind of magical lens sees that far into space? Again, all they can see is lights, just like we can see. Don't let them deceive you with their magical telescopes and their jargon. It's nothing more than scientism. It's something that's important to be exposed because it's leading people away from the true creator of creation is truly what it's doing. It's leading more and more people away. Their whole agenda behind the whole thing was to explain everything and have an alternative explanation to Genesis, to the creation account. This is exactly what man has been attempting to do through Satan's guidance from the very, very beginning. And now it's getting so absurd. And like the Bible says, that the wisdom of the world is foolishness to God. And this is absolutely foolish. So count yourself blessed or privileged in the sense that God woke you up to see how ridiculous this is, because unfortunately, if our eyes weren't open, we would be blind just like everyone else. And it's important to start helping people to wake up to the truth, because they are deceived. I mean, we all have been deceived at a certain time. So it's important that we really get serious about this, because there's souls at stake. And, articles like this, and it's just every day space propaganda that comes out every day. It's unbelievable to me just how much propaganda is continually coming up every single day, more and more. You just do a search for it and you will see it, whether it's SpaceX or NASA or astronomers are finding this, or they're finding exoplanets, or they're going to, distant galaxies with their magical telescopes. And again, it's nothing more than, this agenda deceiving people. And it's the people that are teaching this, they've just been taught. It's not like they're purposely going out and they're deceiving people. They honestly believe in their indoctrination. They believe that this is their reality. It's what Satan has presented to them, and they truly, truly believe it. It's sad, but more and more people are believing the lies of the world rather than the truth of the Bible. And the only one that can set them free, Jesus, John 14:6, he said, "I am the way, the truth, and the life. No one comes to the Father except through me." He truly is the only one that can set you free. I'm sure many of you heard the truth sets you free. Well, he was the truth. He is the truth. And it's important that you come into a relationship with him, that you can escape a lot of these lies, whether it's evolution or Big Bang cosmology, because again, it's a direct assault on the creator right from the foundations, the very start of the Bible. And when you take out a foundation, everything else falls. So, guys, keep exposing the world's lies. Celebrate truth. Blessings.